It's crackling along there in the capital at Easter Road in the sunshine. Hibernian against Celtic. It's full live commentary here on Sportsound and BBC Radio Scotland with Scott Allen, Pat Bonner and Liam McLeod.
And what an absolutely stunning day here in the capital, in the Portaleith. The Forth is glistening in the August sunshine. As you look across to the Kingdom off to our left, between the East Stand and the famous 5N. Wonderful optics ahead of one of Scottish football's most goal-laden fixtures. Hibernian against Celtic. The two captains down there, Joe Newell and Callum McGregor, either side of the match officials. Nick Walsh in charge, as he was the last time Celtic were at Easter Road. The away section off to our right, save for the cordoned off bits at either corner of the bottom tier of the South Stand are packed with Celtic fans. Some late arrivals in the home sections. Doesn't look as though it's going to be a sellout though. And it was a fairly tortuous opening to the Premiership campaign for Hibernian a week ago as they were hammered 3-0 in Paisley by St Mirren. Celtic seamlessly went about their business as they stuck 4 unanswered goals past Kilmarnock. Callum McGregor just delivering his team talk in the Celtic huddle off to our right. Hibs in the green and white, as you would expect here. Celtic in one of their change kits with the yellow jerseys, the dark green shorts, yellow socks with the green tops. And Hibs are going to be kicking this one off. Dylan Levitt's already got the ball in the centre spot. The Celtic players break away. Can they make it 2 wins from 2 at the start of their latest title defence? Can Hibs record their first win of the season in the Premiership? It would be quite the scalp if they were able to do so. Celtic big favourites. Hibs have a pretty decent record against them here. Not too many victories, but Celtic have had problems with Hibs at Easter Road since they were promoted in 2017. They haven't won 10 out of 14 as that comes back from Levitt to Newell. The game's underway. It's pinged out to this near side and headed away by Celtic out to this near side with Rick Pateta's onto it, and he rolls it back to the goalkeeper Josef Bursic, who is on loan from Club Bruges. Long ball forward, which is headed back to his goalkeeper at the edge of his own box by Johnston. Diving header as well back to Kasper Schmeichel, who I'm sure Packy Bonner is very much looking forward to watching this afternoon.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to him. Listen, he's a quality goalkeeper, experienced. Brendan Rodgers knows him exceptionally well. That's probably why he took him to the club, and that he's got the qualities. He's good with his feet, decent with his feet. I wouldn't say he's one of the very best, but he's got the confidence, and that will help the team, no doubt. He's a leader also, and that's probably why they've gone with an older goalkeeper, similar to Joe Hart.
Scott Allen, who's played in this fixture, of course, several times. Is this a good fixture for Hibs, given what happened last week, or is this the last one you want?
Well, that depends. I think if anything last week was anything to go by, this gives you, some fans would say, a free hit, but it's a great fixture. The atmosphere is electric. You're playing against the champions. It's the games that these Hibslers want to play in and want to make an impact in. I think you can see already how high the Hibs line is, and I think that will probably be to keep an eye on Kyogo. Kyogo last week, he played on their back line, he dropped into the half spaces, and it caused Kilmarnock all sorts of problems. So Hibs look to be playing higher or not sitting off the game as such, so I'm really looking forward to this one.
Both sets of players feeling their way into the game. Liam Scales with a chip ball down this left-hand side. It's come right to Dick Pateta. I wasn't on the same wavelength as James Forrest on this occasion. Liam Scales sent off here in the past in Aberdeen colours as Newell picks up in the centre circle. First time ball as Hibs go left to right in this first half. Shooting south, Celtic towards the famous 5N as that goes out of play for a Celtic throw-in over on the far side. So you would imagine a decent test for Celtic. I mentioned that there's normally loads of goals in this fixture. They've averaged over the last 10-11 years 3 goals a game. Celtic sloppy at the back this time. Throwing Hibs, which is taken towards Kukarevich, the edge of the Celtic box. He is back to goal. Just comes through him though, and it's cleared by Taylor. Now Celtic come away in the counter. Long ball. It's with Kyogo. He's just outside the box. It's opened up a bit for him here. He shoots and it's saved, but Forrest on the rebound pulls it back, and Celtic score. Nicholas Kuhn slides it in. the best possible start for the champions. Kyogo made it. His initial effort was saved. It wasn't decisive from Bursik, and it was put on a plate for Nicholas Kuhn, who slides the ball home. And it's Hibs 0, Celtic 1. And it's a dreadful start for the hosts, 3 minutes in.
Yeah, dreadful start, but a perfect start for Celtic. And that ball over the top for a little bit of pace from Kyogo. And when he was allowed then to settle on the ball and step up and come on the inside, he got a shot away. Yeah, the goalkeeper, Bursik, he's got to get it away. He's got to either knock it wide or get it out towards the corner flag. Get it away from goal. He did neither and ended up simple getting onto the ball for Celtic, and that's the perfect start for them, but bad defending, decent play from Celtic.
Yeah, I think I just touched on Hibs obviously playing the high line to stop Kyogo coming off. You still need to watch him in behind, and he gets off the shoulder. It wasn't even a great ball, it was helped into an area. Kyogo off the defender, and then from a transitional point of view from Hibs, it's just not good enough.
And a square ball from Ekpiteta, and Kyogo was almost onto it there. O'Hara did eventually get it before the Celtic striker, as that stinked down the left-hand touchline. Hibs have it over there, but momentarily, because Carter Vickers is onto it, and it's cleared by Schmeichel. Little dink ball out to the far side, and the goal scorer Kuhn will win the throw-in.
But you can't, just going back to the goal, I don't think he can play a really, really high line. Even now, that space in behind for Kyogo with his pace and his ability to come short and almost drag you into an area to go long, you're leaving yourself wide open.
In that situation, myself as a midfielder, the ball doesn't need to be perfect. They're just helping into an area, and Celtic have pace, wide areas, and we know how good Kyogo's movement is off the back of defenders. So it's brave from David Gray, but already it's not working. And
I know why they're doing it, because they're pushing up there, because the midfielder, they want to go man for man, they want to squeeze the game in man for man, but there's Kyogo now just dropping off, nobody going with him.
Yeah, and Kyogo is brought crashing to the ground by Campbell, and that's going to be a yellow card as well. And Celtic have a free kick about 25 yards from goal, slightly right of centre here.
Yeah, I mean, you have that movement from Kyogo. 1 minute he's going beyond you, next minute he's dropping in, and he's got that. And we said when he came to this club first, he had that almost triple movement at times. He went off that a little bit, I thought, but now today that's him coming short, picking it up and opening it up, and nobody going with him, nobody reading the situation to go tight with him, to allow him to get turned, to go and drive down at the back four. He ends up getting his free kick.
O'Reilly and Hatate are over it. It's actually close to being 30 yards from goal, but this is something that will potentially lead to a promising moment for Celtic here. Hibs have everyone bar Kukarevich behind the ball, and even he's now putting himself into a position where he can help the defence. It looks as though O'Reilly is setting himself here. Will he step over it and leave it for Hatate? We wait to see. O'Reilly hits it, it's low into the wall, and it's poor as Scales picks up the scraps and forces it back into the centre circle for Carter Vickers. He'll find Johnston, and he rolls it all the way back to Schmeichel. 6.5 in then if you're just joining us. Celtic with a lead. Scored early, 2-2 for Nicholas Kuhn, who I think's been the star of pre-season and into the start of the campaign. Scored against Kilmarnock last week, Packy. Took him a little while to get going. But you're beginning to see why Brendan Rodgers wanted to bring him to the club. Well,
he's got to keep it going now. He set the standard, and that's what you expect from him week in, week out. And I know it's not easy for creative players to have a consistency all of the time, but that's the standard, I'm afraid, when you play with Celtic.
Johnston out to Kuhn on the far side. Obita comes to meet him. Molotnikov out there as well. It's rolled back along the deck to Hatate. Wanted too long on it. It's been nicked off by Kukarevich, who's back onto it. Got it back from Campbell. He forces it infield. Hibs trying to bed themselves into this game finally, and the ball whipped out towards Boyle, headed away by Taylor. It would have made Boyle had it not been for the Celtic left back, as Dylan Levitt picks up and squares it infield to Neil. Neil's little dink ball, chance to thread it through, almost. It's cut out. Looked for a moment as though that was going to sneak its way through to Molotnikov. Celtic come away, and then there's a foul on Kuhn by Newell, and he's going to be booked as well. 2 yellows in the opening 8 minutes for Hibs, who are 1-0 down as well. It's been an inauspicious start to to the season generally for Hibs. Member lost to Kelty Hearts, as Scott Allen knows, in the League Cup groups. Managed to squeeze through eventually as group winners, but because they lost to you guys, they've got to take on Celtic again next week in the second round of the League Cup in Glasgow.
Yeah, it's going to be a different game at Celtic Park. I think Hibs, even from an attacking sense there, they had the bodies round the ball, but as soon as they give that away, Celtic are on you, and Hibs transition to get back in and get numbers round the ball. Look, there's Kyogo dropped in again.
Yeah,
and nobody's going with him. There's no information coming from the defenders.
Hibs have won it back though, and Milotnikov driving forward on the left, three trying to get up in support. He's taking on Carter Vickers up to the edge of the box. Overran it though, need options. He's been challenged, and it's not even so much a tackle as a pass out to James Forrest on the near side. Poor touch by Scales, trying to redeem himself, but Hibs have it with Kukarevich. He lets it go out for a Hibs throw in about level with the 18-yard line. Really good positive play by the youngster Rudy Milotnikov down the left.
Yeah, and that's what they've got to have, positivity in the team, and you know, when you get off to a bad start, you could actually go the other way and lose your confidence, but no, they've picked themselves up again, Hibs, and they're trying to attack Celtic. Long throw in here on this right hand side.
Lewis Miller to take main stand side as we look to our right. Hibs attacking. It's bowled into the penalty area. Carter Vickers flicks it away. It's headed back into the 6-yard box by a Hibs player, and then rifled for goal by O'Hara, but the whistle has gone, and Liam Scales has taken a blow to the head there. He's just beginning to get himself back to his feet. 9.5 in, Hibs 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, I think that all comes from a poor Liam Scales touch. I know he has come under some criticism over the season. Personally, I think he's done a really good job coming into the Celtic team, but that would be a position maybe going into Europe that Celtic would be looking to strengthen. He's just a wee bit slack at times, and I think it's something that Hibs will be on. As soon as he steps out, maybe get some pressure on the ball and capitalise on that.
I mean, this time last year it looked like he was going back to Aberdeen on a permanent basis. That wasn't too far off from happening.
No, if he keeps doing what he did when he came into the team, do it simple, get it out on his left foot, pass it off a second touch, and then go and support. That's all he needs to do, Liam.
Here comes Celtic. Johnston with the early ball into the box, looking for Kyogo. It's only half away. Kuhn finds O'Reilly, right hand side of the box, back out to Johnston, up against Milotnikov, twists back the way and passes it back to Kuhn, the man whose goal separates the teams. Short to Taylor, who's in this central position which he likes to come into. It's now back with Scales, forward to Taylor, and he's got Forrest on the touchline on this near side. Forrest against Miller, left angle of the box. Forrest pushing it back to the now former Scotland international McGregor. There's Taylor to O'Reilly, quick ball clipped back in, headed away by Miller, and then up into the air from O'Neill. There's a foul on Miller just as the ball had gone. Didn't spot it myself, was following the ball, but it will be a free kick to Hibs inside their own penalty area. Kind of settled a bit into the game, Hibs. They've been up the park a couple of times as well. It's so important because Celtic get another one, it could be game over already.
Is it the left side that he was speaking about, that he likes to, David Gray likes to have the left?
Yeah,
they're playing in the left up the pitch. What's the best side to play into? Scott, you've been here.
I would say I probably prefer shooting the way they are just now. I think it's just preference, but I think Hibs have obviously composed themselves obviously since losing the opening goal there. I think they're trying to close off that centre area of the park, as you would do against Celtic, because how good their combinations are in there. I think the problem you've got is with Celtic, they're patient with it, so even when that is closed off, they keep moving the ball side to side, and you begin to get a bit stretched, and they maybe get you on maybe the second or third phase.
It's quite the statement about what way you want to shoot at Easter Road. I seem to remember a memorable Edinburgh Derby goal going in at this other end, famous 5 end, the boot of Scott Allen.
And listen, in my day we had a hill to play up. that was the issue here, always.
The famous Easter Road slope, yeah. Here come Celtic. Scales just outside the centre circle, squares it to Taylor. They're in the Hibs half. And it's shifted out to Forrest on the near side up against Miller. Dropping the shoulder, then checks his run. He's level with the penalty spot, flicks it back with the outside of the boot. Taylor crosses in and headed away by O'Hara. Awkward bounce for Scales, and Kukarevich is tricked by the Celtic defender, and he's going to be the first Celtic player into Nick Walsh's book. Yellow card, and he joins the Hibs players Newell and Campbell in getting early yellow cards in the game. 13 in, 1-0 Celtic.
Yeah, and you know, he obviously wants to go tight on Kukurevich, and that he misjudged the bounce, but sometimes you just got to read the situation and not get dragged under the ball. And you know, that's not going to hurt you if he picks the ball up on the halfway line and holds the ball up. It's the ball in behind you that's going to kill you. And you know, some of the European Championship stuff that I watched this year, good defenders know how to deal with that. They go tight, but they're always on the back foot, waiting for that ball over the top, and that's something a young Liam Scales needs to learn.
Joe Newell to the right of the centre circle, along with the free kick into the box. Not the worst one either. Almost dropped to Kukurevich and comes off a defender in behind for a Hibernian corner. Good delivery in by Joe Newell there. We know he's capable of that, and it's drawn a first corner of the afternoon for Hibernian. There's Levitt's already away out to take on the left. An in-swinging delivery here. It's a little bit panicky from Celtic in defence on that occasion. Did enough to stymie the danger temporarily as Levitt's corner comes in. It's headed over the crossbar. The ref blows the whistle. Might have been another corner had it not been a foul, but he's given Celtic the decision.
Didn't see much in that, I must admit. Obviously, Celtic going man for man out at Edgeworth. They've got players in there, but the small players like Kyogo and McGregor and so on. And you know, you've got to go and attack the space when the ball's played. And it was a good ball in, and they did go and attack it. So you've got to have body contact. I didn't see much in it.
Hibs have got guys with good delivery in their team, Levitt, Joe Newell, and they've now, from the recruitment they've made in the summer, they've got a bit of height in there. Set pieces can be crucial in these type of games, and Celtic don't look too comfortable defending some of them so far in this game.
Celtic on the ball with Johnston, finds McGregor, back to Johnston in field just outside the centre circle. Taylor goes back to Johnston, who slips it back to his goalkeeper Peter Schmeichel in the luminous pink outfit. And the producer was immediately saying, Peter? Kasper Schmeichel, yes. Peter was a long time ago. Now, I remember working on Falkirk games when Kasper Schmeichel was keeping goal there on loan all those years ago. In fact, kept a clean sheet in a 1-0 win over Celtic back in those days.
You know, he's had such a fantastic career, Kasper Schmeichel, though, to come in as a goalkeeper and almost be judged against your dad, who was a magnificent goalkeeper. Exactly. That is not easy. That is not easy. So he's unbelievable, yeah, to have this career that he's had.
He's still calling his boy Peter all those years after he retired as well. Here comes Celtic, great ball down the right-hand side. Kuhn clips it back across the 6-yard box. Miller trying to prevent the corner. He puts it out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Level with the Hibs 6-yard line. The Celtic left. Forrest will leave it for Taylor. Those two will still be involved in the Scotland squad, which will be announced for those big Nations League matches coming up over the autumn. League A, stellar opposition. The squad for that will be announced in a couple of weeks' time as Hatate hauls Boyle to the ground down in this near side, and Hibs have a free kick about 10 yards from the near side touchline. You hear the Hibs fans, they're howling for Reo Hatate to be yellow carded there.
No, I don't think it was a yellow card. I think it was a foul. Of course it was a foul, and he just couldn't get the ball under control, but there was nothing, you know, that he took the player out or anything like that there. He just got tangled up with him.
So free kick Hibs, which will be taken by their goalkeeper Josef Bursic, who's on loan from Bruges. He's a former England under-21 international as he launches the long ball towards the edge of the Celtic box, headed half away. Campbell keeps it alive and finds Newell. He's got a Bita out on the left-hand touchline. Bita's onto it just now, rolls it back to Newell. Newell then onto the halfway for a Hora. Good footwork just to take himself away from Kyogo. Slips it to Ekpiteta. That's a poor ball down this near side. He's going to get away with it because he gave it straight to Forrest. He can't find Hatate, and Ekpiteta has a second chance. He's found Josh Campbell. He goes back towards Ekpiteta. He's given it straight to Kyogo, who's in behind, and he puts it wide. What a chance! What a gift it would have been as well. A woeful pass back, and Kyogo doesn't take advantage of it. I remember him taking advantage of one of those last season at Pittodrie. but he couldn't on this occasion. Left-hand side of the box, in behind Epiteta, but he puts it about a yard or so past that right-hand post, and it stays Hibs 0, Celtic 1, but it could well have been 2.
I think Kyogo's got to go with his left foot there near post. You've seen him score that type of finish regularly for Celtic, but Hibs, they make us their own downfall there. Josh Campbell playing the blind pass, and you can't do that with someone with Kyogo's sharpness running about you, and he pounces on it, and I fancy him to score from there.
Mackie?
Yeah, listen, I agree. Sorry, I didn't expect you to bring me in there, but certainly 1v1 with the goalkeeper. I thought he actually even maybe go and get it under control with onto his right foot better, but he
Celtic, McGregor! What a goal that is! 25 yards out, and the Celtic skipper has scorched that one past Bursic. It is outstanding from the skipper. One of the best goals he's scored in his illustrious career. On the week he's retired from international football. That's a reminder what Scotland will be missing. It is Hibernian 0, Celtic 2. You don't stop those ones.
Oh, what a beautiful strike. Magnificent strike. Taking it onto his left foot and smashing it. I'm just wondering whether the goalkeeper went with his wrong hand. You know, I know I don't want to be overcritical of goalkeepers from shots, but it's well out, and he's sort of almost seen it all the way, and he's dived, but he seemed to have gone with his left hand. Maybe I could be wrong. It was just a split second to see it, but certainly you could take nothing away from the strike. It was a brilliant strike.
Yeah, I'm just about to say, Packy, I'm giving all the credit to Callum McGregor. That is an incredible strike, out his feet, and strikes it. The ball doesn't move, right in the top corner. We obviously spoke about him at the top of the show, and that is what Scotland are going to be missing. And the performances he's putting in for Celtic year on years is honestly astonishing.
It's 10 years since he got his debut in Iceland. Ronnie Deila put him straight in after a loan spell at Notts County. He had a little spell out of the side under Deila in the following season, but by and large, since he came into the Celtic team, he has left a huge mark on the club itself, and that's just another one for his collection. A wonderful goal from Callum McGregor, and Celtic are 2 to the good in Leith.
Yeah, and it's early in this game, 20 minutes gone, and they're 2-0 down. Hibs at home, and it's a dreadful start for them. But Celtic just getting the goals, getting the critical goals at the right time, and that was a brilliant. You've got to close that space down. You cannot allow people like McGregor. There's Kyogo dropping off again into that space. If it's not McGregor or O'Reilly, then they're exploiting it really easily, and that has got to be sorted out by Hibs.
It has. Listen, it sounds really easy from up here. Celtic will close.
Oh yeah, Taylor picks up the edge of the box now. He's found Kyogo at the edge of the D, looks up, picks the spot. His effort is charged down by Kukarevich. Here is Forrest picking up in the left. Celtic in the mood. Celtic on the ball. Forrest rolls it back to McGregor. Turns it low out to Johnston on the right-hand side. Moves infield. Now he's found Hatate. Tries to work the 1-2 with Forrest. Breaks down, but McGregor picks up the scraps. Now Carter Vickers slips into Scales. Left to the centre circle. That goal that McGregor scored reminded me of the one he scored in the Scottish Cup final against Motherwell under Brendan Rodgers in 2018, as Johnston picks up, fires it across, off the bars, come off the defender, and away to safety. But that could so easily have been 3-0 Celtic and an own goal. And it's O'Hara who stuck the leg out. It comes off the underside of the bar and it bounces down the wrong side of the line as far as Celtic are concerned. Very much the right side for O'Hara, and it remains Hibs 0, Celtic 2. Nearly 3 in that ball from Johnston, over hit for O'Reilly, goes behind for the goal kick. This could turn into a pretty horrific afternoon for Hibs very quickly here.
They're getting in so easily, Celtic, in behind that defence. People are running off, defenders are running off, midfielders, even there Matt O'Reilly ran off Josh Campbell in the middle of the pitch. And I'm looking at the midfield, you've got Dylan Levitt, you've got Joe Newell and Josh Campbell. You know, they're Dylan Levitt, good on the ball, but his defensive qualities, Josh Campbell, good enough on the ball, but his defensive qualities, you cannot come up against a team like Celtic who can dominate the ball without doing your defensive duties properly, and they're paying for it at this moment in time.
Packy, that comes from your defence as well. There's got to be communication there, who's taking who. There doesn't seem to be any of it. Kyogo's dropped off numerous occasions now and nobody knows where to go, or it's a midfielder picking up. But don't get me wrong, when you're on that pitch, sometimes it's easy to see it from up here. The rotations and the movement from the Celtic midfield, runners off, whether it's a full-back getting forward, it isn't easy, and that's why communication is so key, especially in these games against teams with fluent movement like this.
Forrest level with the edge of the Hibs box, works the 1-2 with Taylor, gets it back now. Hatate in the edge of the area. Hatate slips it to O'Reilly. He picks his spot. The goalkeeper's waved it by, but it's gone over the bar. Well, that's on target. Quite simply, it's 3-0.
Yeah, but there's again, you know, Hatate picks the ball up, cuts on the inside. He's able to link up with O'Reilly. O'Reilly's the wrong side of the Hibs midfielder, and he's able then to get a shot away. That is a real problem for Hibs at the moment. And you're right, I'm watching Kyogo playing in between the two centre halves. None of them's picking him up. So when he comes off, they don't know who's going to go with him. You know, nobody's going to go with him.
Somebody's got to go with him because he's causing all sorts of problems. Yeah. There's got to be some sort of responsibility, whether that's from Joe Newell, who's your captain, or one of your centre backs. They've got to be brave and go out and stop that at source, because Kyogo's causing all sorts of problems here.
Scales picks up deep, finds Hatate. McGregor now back to Scales, the edge of his own box. He squares it to Carter Vickers. Right hand side. Moves it forward to O'Reilly via McGregor, and now it's with Scales, left of the centre circle, up towards halfway. Moving forward, he's got Taylor screaming for it ahead of him. That's where it goes eventually. Taylor then out to Forrest, cut out by Lewis Miller, but Taylor's nicked it through to Forrest, left hand side of the box, and cross covering Ekpiteta, who gets there just ahead of the Celtic veteran and blasts it clear up to halfway. But it's just wave after wave of Celtic attack here as Taylor controls eventually and finds Hatate, who's brought crashing to the ground by Kukarevich, and Celtic have a free kick left of the centre circle. Hibs simply cannot live with Celtic.
They can't get up the pitch either. Carter Vickers is 5-side. He's Celtic's deepest player. He's 5 yards inside the Hibernian half. So any time Hibs do try and get a bit of distance and one of their clearances, or get one of their strikers to come and hold up, they can't, because Celtic are squeeze the space. They're right on top of them.
Scales low ball out to Forrest on this near side. Back to Scales. Now Carter Vickers in the centre circle. Rolls it out to Nicholas Kuhn, who scored the first goal. He's taking on Abita along the 18-yard line. Still it's Kuhn. Rolls it back with the back heel, but it's gone straight to Campbell. He thought Forrest was getting there as Miller slides in on the challenge, and Taylor Hibs a bit back, and now Hibs come forward. 3-on-3 at the moment. Martin Boyle attacking Liam Scales, but it just gets away from him, and McGregor comes and picks it back off the Hibs number 10, who's fast, but he wasn't fast enough on that occasion, and it stays Hibs 0, Celtic 2 on 25 and a half.
Yeah, Martin Boyle picking the ball. I thought he probably should have went wider that time. He's kind of almost driven inside and almost driven to bodies. If he almost isolate Liam Scales wider, he might have created a little bit more space and then link up, but he had two players to link up with.
I think when they did turn over the ball there, because they've been defending.
McGregor just had it nicked off by Dylan Levitt. Hibs need the next goal, that's for sure. Sorry, Scott, you were in the middle of something there.
I think see, when you do turn over the ball in a situation where you've been defending for so long and Celtic are stretching you, pulling you about into positions you don't want to be, when you do turn over, you don't have that same energy sometimes. And Martin Boyle is the main guy in the Hibs team who usually is the ball carrier and can get him up. And I totally agree with what Packy says. He's got to get Liam Scales down the outside and allow his team to get up and get some momentum in this game.
Celtic have it. O'Reilly back to Carter Vickers, who goes right to left of the circle for Scales. Scales then rolls it out to Hatate on the near side. Infield to Taylor, back to Scales. Scales finds Hatate, just knocking the ball around at the moment, waiting for a bit of space to pounce into. And with Carter Vickers in the centre circle, short ball to Johnston. Then to O'Reilly to the left of the circle for Scales. And out to Forrest. Forrest then to Taylor on the underlap, gets the cross ball in, it's decent as well. Kuhn was coming in at the back post. Obita heads it away. It's a foul by the German winger on Obita in the 6-yard area, and it will be a Hibs free kick. It is 2-0 to Celtic here on Sports Sound this Sunday afternoon. BBC Radio Scotland across the frequencies to come at 3 o'clock. Aberdeen, St Mirren and Kilmarnock, St Johnstone. Tuesday it's Rangers against Dynamo Kiev. And then on Thursday, Tromsø, Kilmarnock, Brann, St Mirren. All three of those European ties involving the Scottish teams are all square going into the second legs, Rangers in Champions League qualifying, the other two in Conference League qualifying, and then next weekend it's League Cup second round times. A couple of league games obviously will be underway as well, for the sides not taking part in that. These two will be going head to head again in Glasgow next Sunday in the later kick-off. Long ball from Bursic out to this near side. Miller gets his head onto it to Campbell, tries to toss it forward to Kukarevich, beaten in the jump by Carter Vickers as Celtic clear. Hora underneath it, his header goes into the centre circle, helped on its way through towards Boyle. Now Boyle trying to put the pressure on Taylor, who under pressures to go back to Kasper Schmeichel. But there's a foul by Boyle.
And it was offside, I think.
Celtic.
Boyle
the
was
flag's
offside
gone up as well, yeah.
Yeah, I think initially he was offside.
Celtic have it with Cameron Carter-Vickers, who squares it to Scales. Walking pace, goes with the right, out to Taylor. Long ball looking for Forrest, comes off his head. Miller has now got the opportunity to, he's trying to let it go out for the throw in here, he's put himself under pressure, eventually does trickle over the line. It will be a Hibs throw in, which Miller bowls to Ekpiteta inside his own box. He then wants to take a touch with Hatate all over him like a rash. He has done well to squeeze it forward to Levitt. Levitt looking for Campbell, sliding in to win it back though. For the visitors is O'Reilly. And Taylor dinks it into the centre circle for Carter Vickers.
Hibs spending long periods without the ball here. Celtic just suffocating them at every moment. They try to get a foothold in the game, and that chance there.
Yeah, Kuhn tried to pull it across the 6-yard line. Just come off O'Hara, was able to get it away. And yeah, I mean, it feels like constant Celtic possession here. Hibs unable to really get themselves,
I'll tell you what,
out of their own half.
It's really difficult. They're Celtic on the attack again, but it's really difficult with the movement of Celtic in possession and out of possession. It's incredible, and Hibs are trying to stay with them and match them, and they're almost running on empty, even though it's the first half. But they're trying to, but they're not capable.
72% at the moment is the Celtic possession. It is Taylor, he's run into trouble, but he was fortunate, he gets through the legs of Kukarevich. He's back for a second spell. He's on loan here a couple of seasons back. He's on loan from Swansea this time. Previously on loan from Troyes in the French top flight. And Scales rolls it out to Forrest on this near side. Moving infield up against Miller, who's trying to shadow him. Forrest rolls it back to McGregor. And now it's with Johnston to McGregor. It's a chip ball down the throat of the Hibs defence, clear by Ekpiteta, with Hatate in behind him, and it's swept to safety this time. Scales chasing back. He's let it go out for a throw, and under pressure from Josh Campbell on this near side. So we've played half an hour. Hibs 0, Celtic 2. Scott Allen, what's going through David Gray's head right now?
I think right now he's got big decisions to make at half-time. I think the movement of Celtic's caused them all sorts of problems. It's looked like they've went man for man today, and it's not worked. Hibs can't get a foothold in the game at all. Celtic dominate, even when they're trying to get the ball up to their strikers. It's not coming up with any quality. And by the way, it's all because of how Celtic's system is, with and without the ball. It isn't easy to play against, but this could be a long day for Hibs.
Just looking at Kyogo there, Liam Scales getting the ball, and Kyogo's made about 3 or 4 runs in behind. The ball hasn't come, and he gets frustrated with that because they are so square at the back, Hibs, and they just get somebody to get their head up and pass that ball to him. He's in every single time.
Yeah, this game's Taylor made for Kyogo, isn't it? The way he plays as Taylor gets on to down with the Hibs corner flag in the Celtic left, back to Forrest, just lost sight of the ball there, and Boyle's given it up. Forrest doesn't, but he's unfortunate because he was the one who wanted to make things happen. It's just going over the line. It will be a throw, and Martin Boyle delighted to see that ball go over.
I think that kind of highlights where Hibs are at in this first half. Martin Boyle has made more runs to his own byline than the Celtic byline, and that is not where he wants to be. Greg Taylor's taking him into places he doesn't want to defend, and it's causing them all sorts of problems, and that is the reason why they can't get out.
Yeah, that was the real initiative from Postecoglou, wasn't it? The inverted fullbacks and Greg Taylor, and Taylor in particular. Johnston does it as well, Juranovic before him. And Taylor loves playing that role, getting into attacking positions in the centre. As Kyogo goes down, as a look at the ref, no free kick. Ekpiteta clears his challenge. Scales gets it back to Schmeichel, who at the age of 37 is the same age as Joe Hart, who retired at the end of last season. Still plenty to offer. The new Celtic number 1. Here's Carter Vickers, who'll play it forward to the left for Scales. Scales across halfway. Short ball to Taylor. Infield to McGregor. Always scampering around looking for the ball as Callum McGregor, as it comes off him last and out for a throw-in to Hibs midway inside their own half on this near side. Lewis Miller's over it. This is third season at the club for Lewis Miller. It was only really last term that Hibs fans saw him on a regular basis. The right back, and it's his throw-in into the Celtic half, headed away by Scales, drops off the head of Kyogo. He can only put it out for a throw-in over here, but still it's applause anyway from Brendan Rodgers, who's always down there cajoling and praising his players as they entertain he and the Celtic supporters behind Kasper Schmeichel's goal. Here come Hibs with Newell, fires it over towards the far side. Too much on it, way too much on it for Molotnikov, and out it goes for a throw into Celtic over there on the far side. They haven't been in the attacking third terribly often, Hibs, but when they are, the quality's going to have to be much better than that if they're going to make an impact in this match, which in truth's already getting away from them.
I agree, Liam, and you know, that's where he's talked about Dylan Levitt being in the team because he can get a hold of the ball. Now he hasn't been able to get a hold of the ball there because they've had very little possession.
He's on it now. Levitt down the left-hand side. It's Campbell trying to cross, low ball, cut out for a Hibs throw-in on the far side, level with the Celtic penalty spot. Hibs need the next goal. They need it. Will they get something from this attacking position? The throw-in short to Campbell, back to Abita. Abita then gives it straight to Johnston. It will be cleared by McGregor. Cushion header inside the centre circle from O'Hara, finds Newell. Pateta on this near side, level with the edge of the centre circle, clips the ball forward with the right foot. Boyle can't get anything onto it as he falls to the ground, and Scales clears. And now McGregor's found Hatate. And Hibs had come forward in numbers, but Miller's done well to bully Hatate off the ball. He has it, Miller, looking for Boyle, asking too much of Boyle, and Taylor will see it behind for the goal kick. It's the right idea from Lewis Miller, but the execution just isn't good enough. Final 10 minutes of the first half, the 45 anyway, and it's Hibs 0, Celtic 2.
I think that kind of sums up Hibs' first half. When they have been anywhere close to getting into decent areas, the final ball's been really, really poor. I think sometimes that because they're 2-0 down, they think they need to get that ball in behind far too quick instead of maybe taking their time in the ball and having a breather with the ball. That they've not done that. They're constantly defending, and then they're asking. There's Martin Boyle. 1 minute he's in behind, then he's back in his own byline. There's no real way of playing here for Hibs now, apart from defending. And when they do turn over the ball, it's as if they're lucky to be there. It's strange.
I just wonder if they can survive to half-time without the scoreline getting any worse, and then David Gray could chop and change things.
No, it's got a little bit scrappy from Celtic also over the last couple of minutes, but it's allowed Hibs maybe to get a little bit more possession. But you're right, Scott, they haven't done anything with it.
Kuhn to O'Reilly at the edge of the Hibs box, back to Kuhn, looks up, little ball forwards, cut out by O'Hara. This near side, Taylor gets there ahead of Boyle, who's trying to get between the man and the ball. Taylor still emerges with it though, and he squares it infield to Hatate. Now McGregor to Scales, and he goes back left to the centre circle for Carter Vickers. And people have been talking about Celtic strengthening their squad. Left back seems to get mentioned a lot. Greg Taylor doesn't put a foot wrong terribly often in recent times as O'Reilly overhits a pass back to Johnston, right hand side of the box, and it comes all the way through to Bursic, and it remains Hibs 0, Celtic 2.
Yeah, no, listen, he doesn't do very much wrong, Greg Taylor. You know, he's energetic, he plays that as you say, inverted fullback position very, very well. But if something happens to them, they don't really have a lot of cover there. They don't have anybody really to cover up front. Even if they've signed Adam Ida, you know, 2 strikers going into the Champions League probably isn't enough. And then we talked, of course, about they have about 3 or 4 centre backs who aren't even on the bench. I don't know, have they been on the bench in the first game? I wasn't here, so I don't know. But certainly, those are the positions, and they always have been the positions from last year.
Hibs have it. Midfield, Campbell, the shout was man on there, and eventually that man was Matt O'Reilly. He brings him crashing to the ground. Free kick Hibs, right at the centre circle inside their own territory here. Celtic leading by 2-0. Nicholas Kuhn inside 3 minutes, added to by a thunderbolt from Callum McGregor. And it's made it a very difficult afternoon this for the home team. They had one of those last Sunday as well in Paisley. They lost 3-0, of course lost their opening 3 league matches last season, and then amongst all that were beaten twice by Aston Villa, and it was bye-bye Lee Johnson. The cross-field ball for Hibs out to Obita, infield to Newell. He's over his ball forward, and he was behind for a goal kick to Celtic, who have been very, very comfortable here, and that hasn't always been the case for Celtic in recent times at Easter Road.
No, it hasn't, but you know, have they had a shot on goal? Have they had a shot off target? No, which is incredible. And we're going into, what is it now, 38 minutes, and there they are, the home team. You would expect a lot more from them. Celtic have moved the ball well, got lots of rotation in the middle of the pitch, but you would expect Hibs to have something in this first half.
Yeah, there's 0 on or off target for Hibs so far. As Taylor picks up left foot cross ball into the Hibs box, headed away by Obita. Somehow he's managed to put his header straight at Hitate, who heads it down into the ground. No one in Celtic colours there. Piteta gets it forward to Levitt, out to Miller on the near side now with Boyle. Challenged well by McGregor, but the break falls to Joe Newell. And back to Marvin Piteta, who arrived at Hibs in the summer after 4 years at Blackpool. And his long ball comes all the way through to Schmeichel, who comes to the left-hand side of his box, drags it back into the area and passes it forward to McGregor.
I think the Hibs players and David Gray will be looking to get at half-time, keep it 2-0 just now, and make some changes at half-time. They'll need to get some more physicality in the midfield, I think. Celtic midfield on all the second balls, running off guys. Something's got to give here, because at this rate you can't see Hibs scoring at all.
Kyogo's onto it on the left-hand side, up against Piteta. Beat the offside trap, plays it back. Hitate to the edge of the area. Kyogo is onto it. Rifles it then to the right-hand side of the D for Johnston, the edge of the Hibs box. Now Kuhn, the right angle. He forced back the way by Obita, who challenges him, goes out for a throw-in, which has gone Celtic's way.
I think the surprise really is that Celtic haven't been able to build on the 2-0, you know, at this point in time. They've had so much of the ball, but they haven't really created anything else. And that's been probably maybe a surprise, although they're in total control of the game.
Celtic in possession, right-hand side. McGregor back into the centre circle, low ball for Scales. Scales then passing it back to McGregor. Seeing a lot of the ball, and you're asking for trouble if Callum McGregor's seeing a lot of the football against you. Here's O'Reilly, low ball with the left, out to the right for Johnston. Short ball in field to Kuhn, back to Johnston, back to Kuhn, fires it to Hitate. Edge of the area, it's with O'Reilly. It's a misunderstanding with Taylor, he puts it in behind him. And then Martin Boyle picks up, he's got the bandage on his right arm, Boyle, as he knocks it forward to Campbell, and then Newell as well to win the free kick. He knew what was coming, made sure he got there ahead of Forrest, who brings him down. Hibs number 11, and that will be a free kick to the home team. 2-0 to Celtic, less than 4 minutes of the first 45 to go. Aberdeen, St Mirren and Kilmarnock, St Johnstone to come. 3 o'clock starts at Pittodrie and Rugby Park. Free kick Hibs here, Ekpiteta's over it. Just to the right-hand side of the Hibs half. Midway inside it, maybe just beyond that. He's looking up for a long ball forward here. It's another long, floaty one down this near side. Miller beats Taylor in the jump, that's what they wanted. Boyle knocks it forward into the Celtic box, but nobody in green and white, and Scales is there to clear for the visitors. Here come Hibs again out the left. Molotnikov brought to the ground by Johnston. Free kick Hibernian. And this is left to centre, and it's a chance to get the big men up into the Celtic box here and try and find a route back into this.
Yeah, an opportunity, and it is a good opportunity. It's just over on the left-hand side. Is about 30 yards from goal, and it will be swung into the box. And this is an area where they know that they can capitalise on if they get the right delivery and the movement in the box.
Saw a decent free kick delivery from Newell earlier on. Celtic were left scrambling it behind for the corner. What can Newell make of this? This time it's from the left side. It's about 18 yards from the far side touchline, and it comes swung towards the back post. And it's invaded everyone already. The Hibs fans, you can hear the booing coming from that.
It's got
behind for the goal kick.
It's got to be better than that. It's got to be better than that. That was a huge chance for Hibs to put Celtic under a bit of pressure, and it's a floaty ball into the back post. And honestly, I can't. I'm lost for words with that. What a chance to go and put Celtic under some pressure.
You've got to drive it.
Lewis Miller, isn't he, at the back post to try and hit it back.
You've got to drive
across.
it into the penalty spot. You know, Kasper Schmeichel is one area that he's not like his dad. He doesn't come and flatten people and so on, but put it into an area between him and the defence and make people defend.
Make people defend, Pat. Exactly. That's. And by the way, Joe Newell has that quality, but and he's the captain of this team. These are going to be big moments for Hibs to try and get back in this game if they can, and they're not taking advantage of it.
Liam Scales for Celtic, pops it with the left foot out to the right, controlled by O'Reilly. He's found himself out in the wing, pulls it back to Kuhn, looks up at the box, they're a little slow to come and meet him, and he's overcooked it. And Levitt wins it back for Hibs, but he gives it away this time. Straight to Taylor. Here's Johnston. Johnston finds O'Reilly. Chip ball into the box, headed away by Ekpiteta, headed back into the area by O'Reilly, away by Ekpiteta again. He's off Greg Taylor's back there and ends up right hand side of the Hibs box, but Babita's there to clear this time. Molotnikov beaten to it by McGregor, who nonchalantly flicks it back heel onto the touchline for Johnston, into the midfield for Hatate, back to Scales and then to McGregor again.
Yeah, listen, the only good thing for Hibs is that they're still, it's 2-0. It looked early on in this game they were going to get swamped. They've stayed in it, albeit I think Celtic have just, you know, they've got control of the game, they've passed the ball around, they haven't been over creative in the final third, and it's allowed Hibs just to stay in the game, and what a difference a goal would make if you could get it, but they have to create something, Hibs.
And that's why they set piece moments, and especially for Joe Newell and Hibs, are so important, Packy, I think.
Oh, Johnston wins it back off Molotnikov, early low ball in's clear. O'Reilly picks it up, Johnston goes for it again, into the side net, and behind for the goal kick.
The set pieces in this game, especially from a Hibs point of view, are massive, and they haven't capitalised on that at all. I think when we look at Celtic, yes, they have came off it a bit. I think Kuhn 3 or 4 times now he's shifted inside. He could maybe have got his shot away and he's trying to walk it in, and that comes with how comfortable the game's actually been for them when you start kind of making the decisions as a player. When I think if the game's tight, he's shifting and getting his shot away quicker.
1 minute added at the end of the first half. We've just gone into that. Celtic with a 2-0 lead, and yeah, playing a little bit within themselves, I think. But it's a long old season. We'll be looking forward to getting stuck into that New Look Champions League starting next month. They will have 8 matches against 8 different opponents, 4 at home, 4 away in the New Look competition. Hibs will be looking to try and shock Celtic in the League Cup next week, but on this basis, on this showing, it's going to be a heck of a tall order. Nick Pateta out to Miller on the near side, and Nick Walsh sounds the half-time whistle, and a really positive first half again for Celtic. Kasper Schmeichel applauding the visiting supporters behind his goal. Dream start really. Nicholas Kuhn tapping home inside 3 minutes to give the champions the lead. It was Kyogo driving to the edge of the box. His shot was saved by Bursik. Forrest was there though on the rebound to put it on a plate for Kuhn, who tapped home his second in 2 games to give Celtic the lead. And Callum McGregor with an outstanding goal, one of these goal of the season contenders early in the piece, as he smashed it home from distance into the top left corner. It was outstanding, and again just demonstrating how terrific a player Callum McGregor has been in his decade in the Celtic team, underlining that he squeezed quite a lot into that time, including 22 winners' medals and 63 Scotland caps. Hibs hung on from that point on. The McGregor goal went in on 18. It looked like the roof was going to cave in. Hibs have to be a heck of a lot better in the second half if they're even to lay a glove on Scotland's champions. Half-time in Leith is Hibernian 0, Celtic 2.
On digital radio,
FM,
online at BBC Sports Scotland,
your smart speaker,
and BBC Sounds.
This is Sports Sound from BBC Radio Scotland.
Scottish football lives here.
Open the door to true crime that shocked a neighbourhood.
Ambulance, police us, next shot.
Stay with us, that's what she was saying when he was on the ground.
Why did a family man in a quiet town find himself the target of a ruthless hitman?
I'm Kay Adams, and this shooting was the first major story I covered as a rookie reporter.
He would have stopped at nothing.
We're talking about Russian-trained, high-ranking officer in the Secret Service.
An assassin comes to town. A crime next door story. Listen now on BBC Sounds.
You're listening to Sports Sound with me, Richard Gordon. Still to come, we've got 2-3 o'clock kickoffs, full live commentary to come from Pittodrie, where it's Aberdeen against St Mirren. And we'll have regular updates from Rugby Park as Kilmarnock take on St Johnstone. Right now, it is commentary, of course, from Easter Road, where just like last week against Kilmarnock, Celtic find themselves 2-0 up at the interval. In the Premiership era, Celtic have played 411 games up to now and have a total of 997 Premiership points. I think everyone anticipating that figure will be 1,000 points by the end of the afternoon. The goals then coming very early from Nicholas Kuhn, and then that superb strike from Callum McGregor and Pat Bonner. Well, you can't say anything other than the fact that Celtic are worthy of this advantage once more.
Yeah, I thought you were going to pick me up, and maybe I said the goalkeeper might have went
well,
the wrong hand.
I mean, that was quite clearly ludicrous, it has to be said.
It was a snapshot. I always look and see, could the goalkeeper get a touch on it? But anyway, listen, it was a brilliant strike.
He went with his left arm, which was the kind of arm that goes across, rather than the right arm, which is where it was going in. He could have had 4 arms and he still wouldn't have stopped that one, I don't think.
No, listen, it was a brilliant strike and that, but it always, again, that position right in front of the 18-yard box in that hole. Hibs haven't dealt with it. It's been. I don't know whether it's down to just having maybe Newell as a defensive type of player in there, and he's getting pulled out of it, and then allowing that space to be exploited by Celtic for the goal. Too many times Kyogo's come off and picked the ball up, nobody going with him. They improved a little bit later on in the half, but early on in the game they were getting absolutely ripped apart in the movement of Celtic, the sort of rotation, and they were trying to go man for man, and they're not just capable of doing that. Sometimes you've got to pass on, stay in your position and allow players, and then you can go and confront players when the ball comes into the area. But if you start to match up, you've got to be really, really good. You've got to have a fitness about you, you've got to have a defensive mentality about you, you've got to do all of those, and you almost have to anticipate and read the situation early to get your tackles in. But if you're not off it in any way, the movement of Celtic just will rip you apart, and they create then the spaces to go and exploit. And that for me was the first probably 20 minutes of this game. I thought Celtic got a bit sloppy later on and allowed Hibs maybe to just stay in the game, but Hibs have created absolutely nothing.
Celtic, Scott Allen, have done just what Celtic do, haven't they? There's been no surprise about the way they've been playing, but they're just simply too good.
Yeah, too good, but in terms of from Hibs there, I think we've seen what they were trying to do. They were trying to press Celtic high and try and get bodies around that midfield, and like Packy touched on, Kyogo causing all sorts of problems in front of the Hibs back four. So when they do go tight to him and then he's spinning off, and it's just a simple ball hooked into an area, and that's where Hibs concede the goal for. So automatically the defence go, oh, we're not going in there because we're worried about Kyogo's pace and movement in behind. And when you're in that half and half where you don't know if you're pressing or you don't know if you're dropping deep, that's when you're onto all sorts of problems, especially against a Celtic team who's so fluent in the movement, the rotations in midfield. Your full backs bombing on. I watched Martin Boyle spend most of the first half running towards his own touchline, and that kind of sums up Hibs' first half performance for me. The only thing will be interesting to see what David Gray does at half time. An introduction of Kieran Bowie, maybe get minutes in his legs and maybe give them a bit of spark, because from an attacking threat there's been absolutely nothing from Hibs. It's been really poor.
I mean, it's part of the issue right now that they simply have to avoid this getting worse. That is their main objective, and then perhaps later in the game, if they can hold it at 2-0, they can begin to start thinking about getting back into things?
Yeah, well, I think they did kind of stem the flow of Celtic, or maybe it was just because Celtic were that comfortable in the game, they came off it a little bit and started playing more possession football round about the areas that weren't really hurting the Hibs back four and the two sitting in front because they were so deep. But you know, at any time Celtic can step up when they need to. If Hibs push on, Celtic are going to punish it. It's going to be a long way back for Hibs in this game for me.
Actually, Pat, we talked about the goalkeeper for the McGregor goal, but he said should certainly have done better with the first one.
Yeah.
Where Kyogo he just, again, terrible marking. He runs from his own half, he runs in behind, he gets the low shot, there's no great power in it, but the keeper just simply pushes it back out into the danger area, essentially.
He pushed it to the side but didn't get it well enough away from goal.
No.
You've got to, almost have to train that way, that you either let the ball come off your hand to go round and away from goal, give away a corner, or you've got to get power and almost in your wrist to knock it away into a space to allow you to get back in and allow the defence to get back in to a defensive situation. He just knocks it out almost to about the 6-yard box, and then Forrest was onto it, and it was a simple tap in for Kuhn when the ball was knocked across the goal. So yeah, it was poor from him. It's something that he's obviously come up here. He's come to Hibs. He's got to make an impact, and against the top teams you've got to be absolutely sure in what you're doing, and that was poor from him, and it allowed then Hibs to be almost on the back foot, and Celtic then were buzzing in that first 20 minutes. But that first goal is always critical against a team like Celtic or Rangers for that matter.
Yeah, I suppose what we should point out, Scott, is that actually both James Forrest and Nicholas Kuhn were very alert to the situation. They've reacted after the keepers pushed the ball out. Yeah, but that's Celtic's counter press, something that I know personally that Brendan Rodgers works on. I think if you were to say to Celtic fans in February that Nicholas Kuhn and James Forrest the second week of the season would be putting on performances like this and being the starting 11 for Celtic, they would not have believed you. And it just shows you when you give a guy like Brendan Rodgers time to develop players like Kuhn and settle into what it's like to play for a club like Celtic, especially living in Glasgow. And James Forrest, who we all know the qualities he's had, but Brendan Rodgers, when he's under a bit of pressure, he's his go-to man, and he's stepped up, and it just shows you there is guys in your team there sitting sometimes, if you give them the chance, they can take it, and they too play in the front foot. But it comes down to Celtic's counter press. It's not by accident that they're first to react to it. It's something that they work on. He touched on the fact that Hibs had stemmed the flow a bit, but it probably should have been 4-0 by the time we got midway through the half. Kyogo with a big opportunity just before McGregor's goal, and then Hibs got lucky, didn't they, when O'Hora got a touch onto the Johnson cross and it crashed back off the underside of the bar. Yeah, and at that point Celtic were getting in so easily in behind the Hibs defence, Kyogo, I think he was in two minds. Will I go and hit this with my left, or will I let it come across my body? And he's opened up his foot and just sort of almost tried to guide it in. He didn't even get any bend on it, but from that angle, we're just right behind it. I think it was impossible to score with his right foot, if you know what I mean, unless he's got some sort of bend in it, and he was always going to knock it wide of the post. But it was a big let off for Hibs, no doubt about that. And then the one off the crossbar, I could have went anywhere. I could have absolutely went anywhere. And it's getting in there, putting that ball across the goal, and then either your own player or comes off a defender, and the goalkeeper had no chance with that one, but they were lucky it hit the crossbar. Yeah, we've seen a couple of quality own goals already this weekend. That was very nearly another one to add to the list. O'Hora getting very, very lucky indeed. There's SWPL action this afternoon as well. The three games that kicked off at 1 o'clock. They're about 26-27 minutes in. It's still Montrose 0, Glasgow City 0. It's Partick Thistle 0, Hibernian 1. Abbey Ferguson with the only goal so far in that one. And Spartans have just taken the lead against Motherwell. 3 o'clock, it's Queen's Park against Hearts. And at 4:10 live on BBC Alapa, it's Aberdeen against Rangers. Of course, Celtic kicking off the defence of their title yesterday at Celtic Park with a 9-0 win over Dundee United. You'll be able to see all the SWPL highlights tomorrow night at 7 on the BBC Scotland channel. The highlights programme tonight, Sports Scene 7:15 again on BBC Scotland. the best of the action from today's 3 games, plus limited highlights or shorter highlights of the games they covered yesterday. Rangers 2-1 win against Motherwell, Dundee 3-1 against Hearts, and the 1-1 draw between Ross County and Dundee United. Do listen out for live commentary from the European ties, both on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Rangers against Kiev, live on Sportsound. It is also live on the telly on the BBC Scotland channel. And then an earlier start at 5:30 on Thursday. Tromsø against Kilmarnock, Brandbergen against St Mirren. We are in the half-time interval, and Celtic are 2-0 up against Hibernian. I would imagine Brendan Rodgers sends his team out, Scott, to do exactly the same. David Gray, you've touched on this already, but he must be considering half-time changes, if not in personnel, then certainly in terms of how he shapes his team up.
I think the way Celtic are playing is affecting Hibs' shape. I think I'm just thinking about it there as the half went on and the midfield area and the defensive area for Hibs became so congested. It was actually because Carter Vickers was playing most of that second part of the first half, 5 yards inside Hibernian's half, and so it naturally pushes all the Hibs players back into their own half, and that's maybe why the spaces weren't there so much as the half went on for Celtic to get the combinations together. So yes, you can want to change it, but you need to have control of the ball at times to affect games, and Celtic have completely dominated this.
I think we saw last week, Pat, didn't we, that Celtic are not going to be satisfied with 2. They're going to continue to try to press in just the way they have in the first 45, or for most of the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I have no doubt that to keep playing the amount of possession that they have and control of the game, they will create chances in the second half. Hibs have got to do something about it. And do you change the shape and go almost maybe with an extra player up alongside and play the ball longer, more direct? We've said, listen, you know, there's different ways of playing the game, and you can't always try to build the game from the back through the thirds of the pitch. Sometimes you've got to get the ball up direct and then push up behind it and support it, but you need players to be able to play up to, and then you've got to get that support up quickly, and just trying to mix it up for Celtic and create a little bit of pressure on them. They've gone long a few times. Scales has won most of them, but they've gone long without any real structure to it. It's almost just played up there. And I think Hibs have just got to change. I know that may not be the way that the fans here at Hibernian want their team to play, but against Celtic, you just got to try to do something different.
Well, I mean, what the fans don't want is a 3-4-5 goal drubbing. So I'm surely, yeah,
and that's hugely important, because you know 3-0 in the first game, if you end up losing maybe 3 or 4 here again, suddenly then you've got a group of new players that's come in here. Let's call it a back four that's completely new, and a new goalkeeper. Then the confidence goes down, and then people start asking questions, because that is their Achilles heel. They've got last year they want the change, and they made a change with the manager. Marky's come in. They've bought new players. They've gone and said, well, how are we going to actually survive in this and be competitive? But if you keep losing goals, that amount of goals, no matter who you bring in, then the confidence goes very quickly.
Yeah, and confidence has got to be absolutely sky high among those Celtic players. The way they've started the season, of course, no qualifiers, as Brendan Rodgers touched on earlier. A 4-0 victory against Kilmarnock last weekend. It's 2-0 at half-time this afternoon, just as it was last Sunday against Killian. Nicholas Kuhn has scored in back-to-back matches. Callum McGregor smashing it in from all but 30 yards to double the lead. Can Hibernian find a way through, or will Celtic go on and pick up another comfortable 3 points? Remember the highlights tonight at 7:15 on the BBC Scotland channel. You can pick up the best of the action there. Right now we can settle back and enjoy live from a sunny Edinburgh. It is Hibernian against Celtic. Our commentary team this afternoon are Pat Bonner, Scott Allen and Liam McLeod.
It's just 3 defeats in their last 30 games for Celtic, going back to their loss in Rome against Lazio in last season's Champions League. They could be in pot 3 for the Champions League draw at the end of the month, depending on who makes it through the qualifiers, which will determine who they will face in that new phase of the tournament. No parachuting into the Europa League this time. Top 8 going to the last 16, middle 16 drawn into a playoff, the bottom 8 going out of Europe altogether. That's for another day. They've got a job to see out here against Hibs. 2-0 up they are. Hibs conceded 59 goals in the league last season. That's already 5 gone this term as Celtic kick off the second half in their yellow and dark green change kit. Very Norwich City-like, in fact, and of course they are hoping to bring in Adam Ida on a permanent basis from that club. They'll go left to right, shooting south towards their fans in the second half. Hibs towards the famous 5 end, which has opened its new safe standing section today for the first time. Nicholas Kuhn picks up on the right for Celtic. Scored inside 3 minutes in the first half. He's dinked the ball with the outside of the boot into the area, looking for Kyogo. Spins away from him. Miller gets it clear. No changes for either team. Thought Hibs might well look at changing personnel. Doesn't look as though David Gray's changed terribly much out there tactically either. I'll let the game settle down. The guys can have a little look at that. Bursic in goal for Hibs. Millerite, Pateta, O'Hara, Obita, Levitt and Newell, Boyle, Campbell, Malotnikov and Kukarevich. For Celtic, it's Schmeichel in goal, Johnston, Carter Vickers, Scales and Taylor, O'Reilly, McGregor, Hatate, Kuhn, Forrest and Kyogo. And it's back with the Celtic keeper Schmeichel, who rolls it to the left-hand side for Scales. He actually lost in his only previous visit here to Easter Road at Kasper Schmeichel and Benjaloon double. Saw Hibs win 2-0 when he was on loan at Falkirk all those years ago. As it's played by Scales back to Schmeichel, who finds Carter Vickers right of the centre circle. Rolls it out to Johnston on this near side. Faced by Malotnikov. And then back to Carter Vickers. Interesting to see if Celtic want to go for the throat here and go for more goals in the second half. There's Kuhn. Even this early goal difference could be crucial. He's found O'Reilly, dinks the ball to the near post and it's put behind first time there by Warren O'Hara, the Dubliner. And that will be a Celtic corner on this near side, first of the second half.
Yeah, Celtic on the front foot again at the start of the second half, but Hibs got the possession twice. Lewis Miller in the right hand side, and I think it might have been Dylan Levitt, and both times they give the ball away.
Corner's taken low. It's eventually forced back into the box for Kuhn, who shoots, blocked by O'Hara. Back to McGregor. He's having another crack, deflected off the post. Kuhn's there on the rebound. 2 Hibs players slam into him, and it goes behind. Is it gone for a corner in the end? The linesman's got his flag up on this near side. It's going to be a Hibs ball, and it stays. Hibs 0, Celtic 2. That took a massive deflection, in fairness to Josef Bursic in the Hibs goal, and he's delighted that it rattled off the post rather than rippled in his net. 2-0 it remains to Celtic. Scott Allen.
Yeah, well, at least they managed to get out to the ball and put a bit of pressure on it like they didn't do in the first half, which then led to a screamer from Callum McGregor. Hibs not started this second half well again. From the get-go, they went with a high line. James Forrest and Kyogo both started in offside positions to kind of offset that. And within a couple of minutes, Celtic are getting on the ball again in those areas we spoke about in the first half. I think even there, I'm looking. I can see Nicholas Kuhn standing alone in his 18-yard box from that corner kick that Celtic had, and it took the reaction of the Hibs players to get out to him. That's where the trouble came from. And when he does react, it's too late, and Hibs ride their luck again.
Yeah, they're kind of walking in quicksand this afternoon. These Hibs players cannot get out of first or second gear here. That ball played by Carter Vickers out to the left, cut out by Miller and out for a throw-in to Celtic, which Taylor takes quickly to Scales, back to Taylor, and then shift it midway inside his own half to Carter Vickers in the centre point of it. He finds Johnston. Little ball back to Carter Vickers. So Celtic starting the second half on the front foot.
I don't know, I can't remember. I think maybe a couple of headers. Kukarevich, has he got on the ball at all in this game? Has he held the ball up?
Defensively he has, but he's been doing nothing up front, which is what he's on the pitch to do.
I know, but I do feel for him the balls aren't coming up with any sort of quality from him.
Yeah, there's Kuhn to Johnston, flashes it across the 6-yard box, breaks to O'Reilly. That's deflected too, and behind for a Celtic corner. Hibs hanging on here at the start of the second half. Bang up against the ropes.
Yeah.
And the Celtic corner kick on this near side, which Matt O'Reilly's over. In front of the visiting fans. Left footed.
Space in
it's swinger. It's underneath the goalkeeper who beats it away, and then Dylan Levitt smashes it to safety. Callum McGregor gets there ahead of Boyle and nods it back to Johnston, who clips it back out to McGregor. Nice little header there to shift himself away from Campbell, but given away there. Carter Vickers wasn't expecting it. Hibs have it with Boyle. Kukarevich wants it ahead of him. Boyle goes himself. It's well over the bar. Could he have slid? Kukarevich, and Campbell was also in the box looking for a through ball. Boyle couldn't resist the shot, and it stays Hibs 0, Celtic 2 on 50 minutes.
Me personally, I think he's got to slide Kukarevich in, and if he's going to shoot, he could have taken another 2 yards and get closer in and set himself. It's again, we're coming on to decision making from Hibs. It's as if they're surprised when they do turn over the ball, and there's.
Oh yeah, long ball through for Kyogo, takes it down beautifully, left foot, shoots and into the side net. Little touch from Ekpiteta, takes it behind for the corner. But like that, one long ball towards Kyogo. Celtic slice Hibs open again. And Kyogo can't find the target. It stays at 2-0, Celtic corner.
Yeah, great pass, great run. Here's a short corner.
Yeah, and O'Reilly pulls it back to Taylor. His route to goal's blocked. O'Reilly hits for goal at a foul though. And one of the Hibs players, it might have been Boyle actually, and it will be a free kick to the home team inside their own box. Celtic are looking so threatening every single time they come forward.
You know that Celtic take the quick set pieces, and that's twice now since the second half started. You can imagine David Grace had words with us Hibs team at half time that they're switching off, and it's making it so easy for Celtic. That doesn't take much. That's concentration and a bit of responsibility, and we're not seeing that at the moment.
The Hibs fans, the ultras if you like, behind Schmeichel's goal, waving the flags, beating the drums, trying to get their team going, and it's Hibs on the ball. Another atrocious ball. Josh Campbell this time. Molotnikov's in space on the left if he can get it in behind the defender. And that was an opportunity for Hibs. It's been for them. That's been the tail of the tape for this match. They're unable to thread balls through the teammates in the final third and making it very easy for the Celtic defenders to defend it. Scales rolls it to the left for Taylor. Then back to Scales. A couple of little encouraging signs for Hibernian in an attacking sense in this second half already.
Yeah, there has been, but I feel that we're constantly going back to that final ball, that bit of concentration. It is concentration in both boxes. We touch on defensively, switching off. And that isn't a hard pass, by the way. That's a 5-yard pass into your player's feet. It's a concentration thing. Maybe, yeah, because Lewis Miller in an area that he's not too familiar with, but you've got to expect better.
And O'Reilly's threaded it through to Kyogo. Avita does well. It's good, strong defending by Jordan Avita. Up the line, Molotnikov, he's lost it to O'Reilly. Kyogo stayed down in the box, by the way. And O'Reilly's bundled to the ground by Molotnikov, who will have been frustrated after losing out just a moment ago. And Celtic have a free kick on this near side touchline, about level with the edge of the D of the Hibs box, main stand side, as they attack the goal to the right. But Paki Kyogo stayed down.
Yeah, he's sitting down in the box. He's holding his left arm hand, whether he's gone down heavily on it, but he hasn't got up. Looks as if he needs a bit of treatment. That is always worrying when you only have one striker, your main striker, when he goes down, and he's holding that arm.
The problem is, Paki, is that Kyogo Furuhashi is the #1 striker at Celtic. So when you're looking for a new striker to make an impact, not just domestically but in the Champions League as well, you're almost asking him to come in and be second choice, and that was enough for Georgios Giacomakis to leave the club, because he was a very good option for Celtic, but he wanted to be the starter. Kyogo's the starter for Celtic.
Yeah, but that's the challenge, you know. If it's one position, then you've got to come in and say, well, listen, you know, Adam Ada had done that very, very well. You know, he's a young man. He wanted to get an opportunity to come to.
Hence why they're so desperate to bring him back.
And different type of player also. That's the other thing, you know. I'm a big, strong man. I'm in the box. I can put crosses. I mean, Kyogo's completely different. He wants to be on the move all the time. And listen, when he's on his game, brilliant. Look at the movement he's had already in the second half. 2-3 runs in behind the defence. And if they can pass the ball to him, but you need that almost balance.
Kick, McGregor to O'Reilly, and then a dreadful ball from Hatate this time, right-hand side of the box. He's put it over the bar, and it's a bit of a waste. From a Celtic point of view, they do like to mix things up a little bit rather than put the ball into the mixer immediately. They played it short, but perhaps regretting that decision now as Kyogo comes back onto the park. 2-0 Celtic on 55 just about. Boyle trying to get in up the other end, down the right-hand side, a little bit of daylight in front of him. Taylor trying to close him down. Boyle gets the ball in the box. Carter Vickers elects to put it behind with the head for the corner. He knew Kukarevich was behind him, so rather than take any chances, he puts it behind.
Yeah, and that was a direct ball from the goalkeeper up on top of Scales. Now, he didn't deal with it very well. He should have done much better, Liam Scales, and either headed it back up the pitch or found his target, but he didn't. But that allowed Hibs then to get something out of it. And now they've got their corners. At their first corner?
And there's the second half of this, yeah. Corner on the first. Levitt takes with the right foot, looking for the head of Campbell, but he's fouled his man. It's Taylor, and they both go to ground, and that's a Celtic free kick inside the box, and another set-piece attacking opportunity for Hibs comes and goes without them coming anywhere close to threatening Kasper Schmeichel in the Celtic goal.
Yeah, I thought it was a poor corner, poor delivery, wasn't it? You know, it didn't reach. They had the big players up, and they were all lining up almost beyond the penalty spot, but the ball didn't actually get to them, and maybe trying to exploit that space in the near post, but they didn't execute that properly at all for me.
Schmeichel for Celtic, low ball to Scales, takes it up to the halfway line on the left-hand side, onto the touchline for Taylor. Infield to Hatate, to Taylor, stabs it back to Carter Vickers. It's across halfway. He threads it out to this near side for Kuhn, taking on Obita. Kuhn dancing around, into the box he goes. Kuhn towards the penalty spot, tries to dink it back to Taylor, it reaches him eventually. Now Hatate, left-hand side of the box, Hatate's efforts blocked, and then pops out to this near side in Hibs' favour with Molotnikov, who goes to ground looking for a foul. He's not getting one at the moment. Johnston's trying to win it back off Molotnikov, Kyogo helping him out. Eventually it's with Johnston, swings the cross in, Igbiteta heads away. Obita completes the clearance with Molotnikov's help. Comes to Hatate, 18-yard line, lays it back to O'Reilly, the ball forward cut out by Newell. Hibs can't get out at the moment. It's a bouncing ball on this near side. One back by Kukarevich, again good defensive work by the Ukrainian striker. Nabita's put it behind for the corner. I'm not sure why he delayed dumping it into the main stand for a throw-in rather than the corner kick, but he did. And it's cost him, because it's gone over the byline, and Celtic up their latest corner on this near side. They lead 2-0 on 57.
It was like a hot potato there for a while. There was about 5 or 6 players involved, and all of them couldn't get it under control. But it gives Celtic an opportunity, all lining up at the back post. There's a huge space in the penalty spot.
Matt O'Reilly with it, headed half away, picked up by Forrest, and then it's a heavy touch, allows Boyle in to smash it up the pitch and out for a throw-in on this near side. The Hibs boss, David Gray, holds on to it, and Johnston takes it off him and pulls it back to Kasper Schmeichel. Celtic looking for more goals, and they're normally good for it. They've scored at least 3 in 8 of their last 10 league games going back into last season. Finished last season so strongly. A long ball down the left from Taylor, looking for Forrest. It's cut out by Lewis Miller, as well to shrug off the attentions of Forrest over on the far side, and he's put out for a throw-in by Hatate. He's a monstrous right back, isn't he, Lewis Miller?
Yeah, listen, he did very well there, but when he had the ball under possession, there was very little options for him then. So to keep the ball, pass it, and do something himself, and found that all his players weren't given the angle.
But Packy, that's been the story of Hibs' game, because they can't keep the ball for any length of time. On top of that, how good Celtic are at pressing the ball round the edge of the opposition box, and even when a Celtic player gives the ball away around the edge of the box, they seem to be the guy that ends up on it a couple of seconds later.
Forrest goes down over on the far side. No free kick, Hibs throw in only. A couple of changes coming, Brian?
Yeah, a couple of changes coming for Hibs. Rudy Molotnikov and Mikola Kukarevich are going to be replaced.
Yeah, and here's a chance. Boyle's got in behind, right-hand side of the Celtic box, pulls it across, nobody there. Molotnikov pulled back to the 6-yard line, but it's been put behind for the corner by Johnston. That was a chance right there for Hibernian. They can't take it.
Molotnikov have got to gamble there. Martin Boyle looked up, you know he's going to do it. Just sprint, gamble, and you've got a tap in at the back post.
First time the Hibs got 2 or 3 passes, and suddenly they were able then to play that penetrating pass for Boyle.
Can Hibs score the next goal and make a game of it? Got a chance for this corner here. Into the back post area, Scales makes a bit of a meal of it. It's knocked away by O'Reilly. Hibs want a penalty there. They challenge by Scales. It didn't look great. Certainly it didn't look like great defending as Forrest picks up and sweeps it out to the left for Hatate. What a good ball. Hatate, Kyogo's in behind, breaks half away. O'Reilly off the defender. Out to this near side, O'Reilly's onto it. Rolls it back, level with the edge of the D for Forrest. Back to McGregor. And then a dink ball by Taylor into the box. Coons all alone. His efforts blocked by one of the sliding Hibs defenders. It was O'Hara, and then played across by O'Reilly and into the gloves of Bursic, who holds on. It's Hibs 0, Celtic 2 on the hour here at Easter Road. Celtic with a couple of chances, and that coming just after Hibs arguably had their best moment of the match, couldn't take advantage of it. Let's get back to Brian McLaughlin, who was cut off in his prime.
Yeah, it's not the first time. Liam, Molotnikov and Kukarevich coming off, Cadden and young Kieran Bowie coming on. There's going to be a Celtic change as well. James Forrest is coming off, Dyson Mida coming on.
It's not a great ball there by Molotnikov. Abita's managed to keep it in play midway inside the Celtic half. Here's Newell, low ball with the left into Kukarevich, who's going to be off in just a moment. Brian was saying he's Ekpiteta from O'Hara, and out to the right for Miller against Forrest. Taking on James Forrest, and then checks his run, turns back the way, flicks with the outside of the boot, infield to Boyle. Boyle with Taylor behind him, rolls it to Levitt. Boyle continues his run, he's gone down when it comes to Miller, right hand side of the box, gets it across, and Kukarevich threw up his left leg there, but he couldn't make the decent contact on it. Comes off his toe and out for a throw-in on this near side for Celtic. It's been so much better from Hibs in the last few minutes. Will these changes have the desired effect? Chris Cadden coming on, and that man mountain down there, Kieran Bowie, Scotland under-21 international, who's been signed on a 4-year deal. He comes here with great pedigree, Scott Allen, and this is going to be the Hibs supporters' first opportunity to see what he can do.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing him play. It's a great opportunity for him coming to Hibs, getting that obviously long contract that gives you the chance to improve, and the fans will be looking for him to get involved. It's a good time to come on, because Hibs are starting to put a few passes together now, getting down the wide areas. But on the flip side of that, James Forrest maybe getting a bit tired. I think he's about to be replaced soon by Maeda, or he has been replaced by Maeda, which when he takes you the other way, there's a lot of defending to do. But it's a good opportunity for young Bowie, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play here.
Yeah, it absolutely coincides with his best spell of the game. It's amazing, just with a few passes on the ball, get settled on it, and then you can start getting your key players into their positions that they want to be. Martin Boyle down that right hand side, getting your striker who has been running around trying to defend into the box. Obviously he's come off the pitch now. Well, let's see what Bowie can do.
There's Newell, played back the way to the midfield, and Molotnikov to the right. It is Miller, and he passes it back off Maidan, out for a Hibs throw-in over there on the far side. Yeah, Kieran Bowie's here. He was at Fulham for 4 years on the books there. He was on loan at Northampton for the last couple of seasons. He scored 14 goals in 85 appearances for Northampton in League One in England. As Hibs come forward, and it was an opportunity, it certainly looked as though it was an opportunity there for
a lot more intensity about Hibs now.
Yeah, it seems to be something has flicked in the last 5 minutes or so. Have it over on that right hand side. Bowie tries to knock it back towards the penalty spot, and it's cleared by Matt O'Reilly. But here the Hibs fans, doesn't take much to get supporters on your side, and just a few little attacking moments, good use of the ball, better decision making, and the fans are with you again, even though Celtic still lead 2-0. Long ball for Boyle, headed away by Carter Vickers. Cadden going after it on the far side, and Hibs have a throw-in level with the Celtic 18. Ball back the way to Miller, but took his eye off it. Maida nicks it off and goes back to Taylor, who launches it clear down the left-hand side, and out for a throw into Hibs. Czech Peteta is going to leave. It's bowled back midway inside his own half for O'Hara by Joe Newell. Peteta with 25 minutes of the 90 to play. This is pushed forward, and an opportunity here for Hibs to try and make something of it. Molotnikov out to Boyle. Boyle looks up drifts the ball in, and Kieran Bowie kind of came towards the penalty spot, as did Cadden, and that's just drifted away from both of them and behind for the goal kick.
Yeah, one of them should have been peeling off to the back post. I think that was in probably Martin Boyle's mind too, that one of them would do that, and he's overheaded to the back post. But it is a very good spell from Hibs, and it's amazing just getting on the ball, passing it, getting a wee bit of control, making Celtic now have to think defensively a little bit.
Yeah, just to confirm, Milotnikov is still on the pitch. It was Josh Campbell who was the second Hibs player to come off during that double change. As Cadden and Bowie came on. And it's all the way back with the Hibs keeper, Bursic. He's replaced David Marshall, who's moved upstairs here at the club, working with Malky Mackay these days. There's Miller on the far side, it's the nutmeg on Maida and fires it forward. Cadden's not going to get there, but it's better.
It's much better from Hibs. They're beginning to get a wee bit of foothold in the game. They're trying to get down the sides, and that's what their pace is, so that's what you want to do. See if it takes a longer ball to get you there, then you've got to do it. And it's allowing their team to get up the pitch. They're getting numbers round the ball. Just still a wee bit the final ball needs to be a bit more quality, and maybe trouble Celtic a wee bit more, but David Gray will be pleased with this.
Hatate out to the left for Maida. Level with the edge of the centre circle, up against Cadden, changing pace, driving down the left-hand side, taking on Miller. Still it's Maida, level with the 6, crosses in, comes off Kyogo's head. I think Pateta might have got something onto it as well. Kyogo's gone down inside the 6-yard box again, and it goes out of a Hibs player for a Celtic throw-in, level with the home side's 18-yard line on this near side.
Yeah, he's so light, Kyogo, any body contact, he's always going to come out second best. I think he's got the ball's just lifted up in the air, not really what he wants, but he's going to try to attack it, and he's just been probably.
I think that's the frustrating thing, Packy, for the Celtic fans, because they're now 2 games into the season with only Kyogo. They don't really have the luxury to take him off when they would want to, and that is a huge problem. If Kyogo was to get injured in this game, that would probably be spoken about more than the performance today.
Yeah, I agree, and that's maybe the only option they have is Mikey Johnson, who's on the bench. Mikey's been all over the place, hasn't he?
And they can put Maida through the middle, couldn't they?
Maida could go through the middle.
Yeah, he's played plenty there for his national team. In fact, played there at the World Cup, didn't he, for Japan, through the middle.
He did, but it's not his ideal position, let's face it, and that's the bit that's crying out for the moment, to try to get, if not 1, maybe 2 in.
Outfield-wise, they've got Jan, Holm, Iwata, Bernardo, Ralston, Welsh and Johnston still on the bench. Goes out to play, far side, the whistle goes, can be a Hibs ball over there, and Lewis Miller's ended up clattering into the digital advertising in front of the Big East stand over there. Final quarter of the match. You get team news and the other Premiership matches being played this afternoon at the website bbc.co.uk/sportscotland. There is a live text, of course, underway at the website. Aberdeen, St Mirren, Kilmarnock against St Johnstone, just over an hour away from those matches kicking off. Here is Cadden, out to Miller, wide in the right, in an attacking position here. Hibs, it's clipped forward towards Kieran Bowie. He's not going to be able to keep it in play. It goes behind for the goal kick. And Celtic have this 2-0 lead. And even though it was 2 going on goodness knows what at one point in that first half, they didn't get that third goal. But I think Celtic, whoever in fact is the visiting team here, they would all sign up for a 2-0 win at Easter Road. And as I said earlier, Celtic have had problems at Easter Road, having dropped points in 10 of their last 14 visits here. Not many Hibs wins in amongst that, but even draws, if you're at Celtic or Rangers in particular, can be so damaging and aren't acceptable to the supporters of those clubs. Celtic come forward with Maida. He's managed to get goal side of the defender Miller. His ball across the 6-yard line is cleared by O'Hara, and out for a Celtic throw-in over on that far side.
They love that slide rule ball down the outside of the full-back, don't they, for either Kyogo or Maeda run. It causes all sorts of problems, and they've done it 3 or 4 times in this second half already. I don't think we spoke about the chance that Kyogo had, and amongst that, where it came across, similar to last week when I think it was Hatate who played the incredible outside of the foot pass, and for as much as he's been so good for the team today, Kyogo would probably fancy himself to take the chances.
Now with Carter Vickers, plays it to the left of the circle there for Scales. up to halfway. Long ball with the left foot, looking for Kyogo. Underneath it's Obita. He heads it back, and it's gone behind for the corner. Well, an opportunity here for Celtic to swing the ball into the box. Obita was obviously spooked there. He's ended up putting behind for a Celtic corner.
Yeah, he didn't know what was behind him, did he? He didn't open up his body and see it early on, and he could have easily chased that ball back, I think, to his goalkeeper, because I think Kyogo had given up on it.
And a chance for Matt O'Reilly to swing the out-swinging delivery in from that left-hand side, southeast corner of Easter Road, and it comes towards the penalty spot, headed away by Obita, who gave it away in the first place. McGregor down the line for O'Reilly, still out there having taken the set play. Less than 20 left, Celtic leading 2-0. It's back with McGregor. He's had to go all the way back to his goalkeeper. All coming from a Celtic corner. And they're comfortable in the game. Kasper Schmeichel's off target with the pass for Carter Vickers, and it's out for a throw-in. On this near side, it's sloppy from the new Celtic keeper.
Yeah, it was sloppy. I think they have been a little bit sloppy in the second half. They haven't been able to finish Hibs off, and Hibs have come back into the game, and Celtic just if Hibs end up getting a goal, then the pressure comes on Celtic.
Yeah, and here's Milotnikov. He's away from one, looking to get to the edge of the box. He has done so, opened up right-footed, and he shoots well wide in the end. It's really good positive play from the youngster. That's why he's getting the applause from the Hibs supporters. Really good positive play from the 18-year-old, driving to the edge of the Celtic penalty area. His shot aimed for the top right was off target. Goal kick Celtic. 2-0 Celtic, 71.5 on the clock.
Yeah, it was excellent play from Milotnikov, finding that wee bit of space to get his shot away. Head in hands, he probably thinks he maybe could do better, but I think what Packy touched on there in terms of Celtic and a bit sloppy, that's what Hibs need to play on. That's what gives you the energy, thinking there's something in this game for them, and you can see that's kind of going through the Hibs team now.
Milotnikov made his first team debut in the away leg against Aston Villa in Conference League qualifying last season. It's not a year ago. He's recently stepped up to the Scotland under-19 squad as well, as Hibs give it away in an attacking position. The groans from the home fans there as they did so. And now it goes out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side, which Johnston will take. Bolden field by Johnston to O'Reilly, and back to Carter Vickers, who goes back to his goalkeeper. So Aberdeen, St Mirren, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone to come at 3. Tuesday, Rangers, Dynamo Kiev in the third qualifying round for the Champions League. That's 1-1 after the first leg in Poland last week. And then on Thursday, Conference League third qualifying round, second legs. Tromsø, Kilmarnock, that's at 2-2 after the first leg in Ayrshire. And Brann, St Mirren, that's 1-1 after the first leg in Paisley. Last gasp goals for all three Scottish clubs last week to keep the ties burning. Here in the Premiership, Celtic looking good for the 3 points. 2-0 up in the capital, which is bathing in glorious sunshine. Festival time, of course, here in Edinburgh. Busy city centre, bustling city, as Scales finds McGregor in the centre circle. And back to Scales. Going to be a couple of Celtic changes in a moment. Here's Kyogo. Kyogo looking for Hatate, couldn't find him, and away by Obita, just inside his own box. His clipped but clearance is headed out to the left by Scales. And it goes out off Cadden for a Celtic throw-in. Chris Cadden has been joined at the club, of course, by his twin brother Nicky. As Milotnikov goes down. Let's go pitch side, Brian McLaughlin.
Yeah, a couple of changes being made by Celtic. Paolo Bernardo and Mikey Johnson have been getting ready for the last 5 minutes or so. They're coming on. He'll be replacing Kyogo and Rio Hatate. And there'll also be a change coming up for Hibernian very shortly. Dylan Venti is almost stripped and ready for action. This time it will be Rudy Milotnikov, I'm told, who will be coming off. They did change it in the last minute. Josh Campbell being replaced, but it's going to be Milotnikov this time who's going to be coming off, with Dylan Venti coming on.
Sports Sound here on BBC Radio Scotland. Loads of action this weekend. 3 Premiership matches today. This one's got just about 15 minutes or so left as the Celtic subs come on. And Hibs will make that change. Milotnikov, who's getting a bit of treatment, will come off. Dylan Venta will replace him. I know the Hibs fans, Scott, are quite excited about Rudy Milotnikov and what he could provide in the months and years to come.
Yeah, I really like him. I think today's it'll be a learning curve for him playing against that quality and how much you need to work off the ball when you play against a team that stretches you and moves you about like that. He's one of the players where if he does get half a yard, he's got that wee shift, he's strong. But in games like this, it's more about learning, and the next time he plays at this level, he'll be ready for it.
On comes Venta. Highlights of this one and the 2-3 o'clock kickoffs on Sports Scene tonight, 7:15 on the BBC Scotland TV channel. Also be live on the iPlayer. And that Rangers Kiev game on Tuesday, live here on the radio and live on the telly as well.
Yeah, just we spoke about who would replace Kyogo. So obviously it looks like it's going to be Mikey Johnson, maybe. Although we'll see how it pans out.
Johnston for the minute, certainly, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe Maeda might kind of come in on the inside and play a little bit more closer to him.
2-0 Celtic, heading for the 3 points and make it 2 wins out of 2 at the start of their latest title defence. They're going to make it 13 titles in 14 seasons this time around. Against a Hibs side, they've said, hasn't been seamless here at Easter Road for them in recent times, but it's just one Hibs win in 21, 2 in 23. So generally Celtic get the better of them. That Hibs win in the 21 run was 4-2 at the end of the season before last, when the title had already been secured. Carter Vickers finds Scales, and now it's with McGregor. Pulls it out to Taylor on the left, and back to Scales. Squares it to Carter Vickers, midway inside his own half. Rolling it forward up towards halfway. Johnston can't control it. It's his Boyle. Now O'Hara. Good footwork from him. Nifty stuff there. So from a couple of Celtic players. Johnston all over Newell, who managed to get it back to his goalkeeper. It's clipped forward out to this near side onto the chest of Obita. High ball forward is one in the air by Carter Vickers, who heads it out for a Hibs throw-in on this near side. Mikey Johnston, I think he had a pretty productive loan spell at West Bromwich Albion in the second half of last season, Packy. I just wonder if he'll still be able to make a real impact on the Celtic first team.
No, listen, last year he came into the Celtic team a few times. He came off the bench numbers, and he did make an impact. He scored critical goals. I remember up at Dundee. He scored a very important goal for them, but he switched from the right side over to the left side, which actually suited him better, because he was coming on the inside. Obviously he's playing through the you know, up top as the main striker at this moment in time. I don't think that's his position, but he'll stay around the club until he gets the next move or try to make an impact. But it's not easy for him to make an impact here at this club.
They've been happy with him, the Irish national team.
Yeah, he gives him something different, you know, and you know, he'll come off the bench. The big thing with Mikey Johnson is he physically strong enough to compete at that level. That's always been the challenge for him.
There's Johnston getting away from Levitt. Good play from the Canadian. He gets it back from Bernardo. Central area, rolling it for Maeda, who I think felt he was in an offside position and just left that ball to trick past him, and it was right through to Bursic.
Yeah, I think he was in offside position. I think he went a little bit early, but I think he was clearing the space for Greg Taylor on the left-hand side. The pass came to him and he wasn't ready for it, Maeda.
Just to go back to what Packy's talk about Mikey Johnson, and I've seen Mikey in close proximity. He has some incredible ability, and I know.
Well, turn of ability. Miller's tried to pirouette the edge of his own box. Comes to Johnston, who fires towards goal and flashes it by the right-hand post. What on earth Lewis Miller doing there? He's trying to pirouette the edge of his own box.
That's what you don't need. See, when you're under the cosh, you don't need to be making decisions like that, and that's kind of fed through the Hibs team. But I think if it was to finish like this, I think David Gray would be happy in terms of how his team have reacted after the 2-0. I think it could have gone the other way quite heavily, and they have managed to kind of counter Celtic at some degree and managed to get a foothold in the game and create chances for their own. It's not been a complete one-sided second half, which would be a positive.
Two of their next 3 league games for Hibs are here at home. They've got Dundee and St Johnstone here, either side of a trip to Kilmarnock, side of the international break, so chance to pick up points, but it's been heading towards being a really poor start to the campaign. 2 defeats out of 2. Unless they can resurrect this somehow, but Celtic coming forward, the subs giving them some new energy. It's a brilliant ball in, and it's headed well past by Maida, who might actually be delighted to see the offside flag go up on this near side. Really good ball in by O'Reilly. Celtic are going to go to the bench again, and Brian McLaughlin can tell us who's coming on.
Yeah, a couple of changes, the final changes for Celtic. Number 2, Arthur Johnson's coming off. He'll be replaced by Anthony Ralston, who scored last weekend against Kilmarnock. Also coming off is number 10, Nicholas Kuhn. I'm sure the Celtic fans delighted with his performance again this afternoon. He's been replaced by number 13, Hyun Yun Yang.
Yeah, what I would say about Kuhn, he started the game well. He scored very early. He's had an excellent start to the season. I don't think Jordan Abita's done a bad job against him since then, because he could have been thinking at the point, mentally, this guy's got me beaten. But I don't think he's got past Abita terribly often.
No, and listen, he's got pace, Kuhn. That's the one thing I've always said, that, you know, go on the outside, go and try and take the player on. And when he came first, he didn't do that. It was always, his first touch was backwards, but I think that's changed now in this game, so he is a threat. But no, you're right, Obita's done okay against him. I think Hibs have done okay in this game, you know, and especially in the second half, compared to that first 20 minutes where they were totally outplayed and could have ended up 3-4.
Final change for Hibs, Brian.
Final change of the afternoon. Dylan Levitt has been replaced by number 22, Nathan Mariah Welsh.
That was a change at the start for Hibs, or one of the 2 changes they made. Mariah Welsh dropping out to accommodate Levitt. Those 2 have switched positions, but it's getting to the point where if Hibs don't score in the next minute or 2, it's going to be all over. As Carter Vickers picks up, sweeps it back to his keeper. Now Schmeichel rolls it to the left for Scales. Now Bernardo, he's been caught in the ball. Opportunity here, Bowie's in, right-hand side. Scales gets back goal side. Still it's Kieran Bowie. He's going to be, I think, going to let it go. Well, he was looking like he was going to let it go behind for the corner. Back to Venta, and it bounces off the box, spin it behind for a goal kick to Celtic, and it all comes to nothing for Hibs in the end. It looked like they were in. Kieran Bowie, right-hand side of the box, just couldn't quite free himself of the shackles of Liam Scales, and on 82 it stays Hibs 0, Celtic 2.
I've got to say, Bernardo was so lucky there, because first and foremost he came to the ball, mispassed it, it's almost come off his foot, and then I thought he was going to give away a penalty, which obviously the referee allowed play to go on because they were in a good position to try to go and score, but he's a lucky man.
Yeah, Paulo Bernardo back after being on loan from Benfica last season. He's now a bona fide Celtic player. It was an inauspicious moment for the Portuguese midfielder. Here's Mikey Johnston picking up now, driving forward, and Hibs half rolls into the left low, looking for Maida, comes back to Johnston, he's inside the area, and there's the shot from Taylor, which is blocked by Nketiah, and out for a Celtic throw-in level with the Hibs 18 over on the left-hand side. I think was there a flag there? Something happened, the referee stopped play, and it's going to be a Celtic ball. So it's taken by Taylor, who bowls it back to Johnston, and then he goes back to the halfway line for Scales. 83.5 on the clock. Celtic have been comfortable at 2-0 up since the 19th minute. Goals from Kuhn and McGregor in the first quarter of this game appear to be settling it. Bowie gives chase. Carter Vickers has been beaten to it by Bowie. Oh, he's hit the bar. He's so unlucky. Didn't look favourite there against arguably the best defender in the Premiership. He was kind of leaning back, but he still almost found the top left reverse corner. Comes off the top of the bar and spins out for a Celtic throw-in on this near side. Well, if that's what Kieran Bowie's got to offer, then the Hibs fans may be onto something here. Brilliant striker play.
Oh, what a good effort. Really good striker play, as you say. Holding the ball up and then turning Carter Vickers, who is really strong, but he showed his strength, the young man, and he's got his shot. And it surprised Kasper Schmeichel, but it was a good shot. I don't know if he would be able to even get a touch on it. Comes off the crossbar, and that was a great opportunity, a great, almost self-made opportunity.
Yeah, it's just a simple ball down outside of the centre half, and Bowie chases it, shows his strength and manages to get his shot away. I thought previously, a couple of minutes before, he was maybe a bit indecisive, but it wasn't that time, and it was brilliant play, and that's maybe a wee sign for the Hibs fans of what he's capable of.
He did very, very well there. Yeah, he was unlucky not to see that nestling in the back of the net.
I was going to say Celtic just playing this game out now, but if they lose a goal in that last 5, almost injury time also, because it will be a bit of injury time with the substitutions, that would have been maybe an exciting time for the Hibs fans, but it didn't happen, and they're still 2-0 down, and Celtic will, I think, manage this game out quite easily now.
It's not often you see Cameron Carter Vickers being beaten like that. As Yang picks up for Celtic on the near side, driving forward, rolls it to Bernardo in space wide in the right, looks up, crosses in, it's a good ball. The header from O'Reilly, saved by the keeper, who goes down and grabs it at the second attempt. It stays Hibs 0, Celtic 2. Should have been 3.
Yeah, good play down this right-hand side. Good link-up play between Yang and Bernardo. Decent ball in O'Reilly, arriving in the box, as we know that he can. I thought the goalkeeper probably should have held on to it. He didn't. He almost, it was like a bar of soap. He's just almost flicked it up in the air, and then suddenly has to go again and attack the ball, and could have given away a penalty. But good play from Celtic, trying to finish this game off.
And the Hibs fans not happy because Mikey Johnston stopped play with an apparent head not even off the pitch. He's now come back onto the playing area and he's gone to ground again. What on earth's that about?
I don't know, he should have stayed off. I think the referee's got a...
yeah, I mean, surely he's off the pitch, he stays off the pitch, and the physio's working him there.
I think he was complaining when Busic did drop the ball and he went to... I think he's asking for the penalty. I think he's been hit with a glove on the nose, maybe. Obviously hard to see from here, but he's been down for a couple of minutes now.
It's a head knock, so the ref's quite right to stop play, but the fact is Johnston walked off the pitch and then he's come back on again. So I don't understand why, because he's off the playing surface, the medical team, surely they can work on him there and the game would continue. And anyway, there is a long stoppage here. The ref's quite happy with it. Johnston remains down, and he'll hope he's okay to finish things off. Celtic have used their subs the final 3 minutes of the 90, with Celtic cruising as things stand to another victory.
He's obviously got a smack from the goalkeeper that he didn't expect, but that's something now from goalkeepers. I've seen it in the Euros also. Very, very few goalkeepers now catch the ball cleanly. Even saves. I think we've seen the first goal today where he's parried it out. Do you hold that ball? Very few actually do that.
Why do you are they coached to do that? Why do you think
they do it
case?
automatically in training? And you're right, it's not as if they're coached to do it, but they do it just, I don't know why. And they've got the best gloves in the world and so on, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Listen, Brian's had a chance to find out what's going on with Mikey Johnston here, Brian.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a problem with his nose, possibly a nosebleed, but yeah, I'm just having another look at a replay for that. Yeah, Bursic went up, he parried the ball out, and it was just a collision between the players. The ball was there to be won. The goalkeeper got his hands to the ball. Mikey Johnston also got his head to the ball as well. But yeah, there certainly won't be a penalty here, I wouldn't have thought, for Celtic. But yeah, Mikey Johnston looks like he's got a burst nose at the moment.
There's no suggestion that penalties in the offing. 90 seconds of the 90 minutes are left here with Celtic leading 2-0. And this will add to the stoppage time at the end of the match.
That's Mikey's good looks gone for a while.
Yeah, it'll be a sore one in the morning, I would have thought. It'll be sorer in the morning than it is now.
Getting hit in the nose isn't one of the pretty ones. Your eyes start running and all that. So I want to touch on Mikey Johnston. Obviously, Packy was speaking about him earlier. I've seen him at close quarters and the ability he has. And we speak about physicality. He's went down to the Championship and made a real impact down there. And
he did,
that is a physical league, but for me, at his age now, he's got to go and play regular football. And for me, I don't think it's going to be at Celtic. He needs to go and get his career week in, week out, because when he did get that opportunity at West Brom...
Yeah, listen, I agree with that.
He's 25 now as well.
25.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And listen, from an Irish perspective, we want to see him playing games week in, week out, to be ready, to be almost physically fit also when you come on. He's got great feet, he's got a wee burst of sharpness when you give him the ball, but it's always his final ball. And if you're playing games all the time, then you have a chance to iron those little things out, and your touch is better and so on. But that's always been the case with Mikey, that final ball. But we've seen, you're absolutely right, when he went down to West Brom, he was scoring every week.
He scored in his debut, didn't he? He scored 7 times, a couple of assists. Long ball forward, flicked on by Miller. Here's Cadden, right hand side. I hear 6 minutes are being added on at the end. We've gone into the first of those as Miller goes down. No foul. Free kick not in the offing for Hibs. Goal kick only for Celtic.
Yeah, I see Joe Newell shouting at him to get that ball into the box, because you've got a big striker in there who's shown that he can be a bit of a handful, and he's physically strong. So get it in. A couple of minutes to go.
Ralston back to Carter Vickers, who lumps it forwards. Header won there by O'Hara towards the edge of the box. Breaks to Venta, and his rather scuffed effort down in at the ground was well past the left-hand post. And it will remain at 2-0 to Celtic, who host Hibs in the League Cup second round next Sunday, before league matches against St Mirren and Paisley and Rangers at Celtic Park, ahead of the first international break of the season. So we could potentially, by the end of this first chapter of the campaign, be through to the League Cup quarters, and we're sitting with a little gap, Packy, at the top of the Premiership as well. That's certainly what Brendan Rodgers will be hoping.
Yeah, hoping, you know. To be honest, I expected a little bit more from them. They were 2-0 up in this game, and they were coasting, really. Pressure was off them, shooting high cups, but they haven't been able to go and build on that in this game. They did pass the ball quite well enough, but they haven't created a lot in that final third, which is the area that, you know, this Celtic team needs to be working on, and we've seen too many games last year too where they've dominated, but they haven't created enough.
I think we were looking at Celtic to go on and really kill the game off, 3 or 4 like we've seen last week and what we've seen in pre-season. But I think for David Gray and Hibs, it's again the following week it's been a game of 2 halves. A lot of positives to take in the second half. They've stayed with Celtic, they've gone into good areas, but they're conceding goals and they're not scoring goals, and that eventually will become a problem if that doesn't start changing.
17,918 is the attendance inside Easter Road today. Hibs have it with Miller. He touches it back to his goalkeeper. Bursick kind of slices it out to the far side. It drops out for a Celtic throw-in. Played almost half the stoppage time.
Yeah, just talking about Kasper Schmeichel, I've been impressed with his distribution. I know he had one bad square pass to Carter Vickers, but I think overall I've been very impressed with his ability to link the game up from the back. Now, obviously, the area where Joe Hart excelled in, it was that 1v1 big saves at the critical times, and that's where Kasper, who can do that, but he hasn't, obviously, in this game anyway, had to pull any saves off. So it's all about his distribution.
Yeah, it's been a pretty comfortable start to life at Celtic for Kasper Schmeichel. And Celtic come forward again. That was aimed towards Yang, low ball. It was often beat at. Nick Pateta gets it away out to this near side. And yeah, I mean, as far as Hibs are concerned, not a single shot on target, Scott. That's another worrying statistic.
It's worrying, but they have had a good week in terms of getting players in the building who maybe aren't up to speed yet. So David Gray will be looking to get them up to speed as soon as possible and get them affecting games. And that is one way of looking at this for David Gray. And the second half, from a defensive point of view, has been better.
Concussion sub having to be made by Celtic, Brian.
Yeah, Mikey Johnson is coming off, number 15. Thiago Holm is coming on, so that's 6 substitutes on. That, of course, will give Hibernian one more substitute as well, but we've now played over 94 minutes, less than 2 minutes left, so I wouldn't suggest that Hibs will actually make one more substitution. But yeah, Holm is on with Mikey Johnson off.
Difficult start to his Celtic career. Alden Holmes sent off in Rotterdam in the Champions League. Match day 1 against Feyenoord last season. We didn't see much of him after that, as another head collision inside the centre circle. This time Taylor and Venta both getting back to their feet pretty quickly. He played almost 5 of the 6 minutes, to be a little bit on top of that because of that Celtic change. And there's Callum McGregor standing over. It's been an eventful week for him, but again, just oozing class, Packy Bonner.
Yes, and you know, he's. I think obviously retiring from international football definitely will help him to prolong his career and keep him in a frame of mind where he concentrates on one thing and one thing only, his club. But obviously getting that rest. He's played so many games and played to a very, very high quality in most of those games, I've got to say. But now it gives him a wee chance just to maybe focus on staying.
He had
nice and sharp.
Yeah, he had that injury last season, of course. He still played 45 for his club. 52 the season before, 49, 52, 59, 55. And you put the Scotland games on top of that, that's just his club matches. He's averaging between 55 and 60 games a season.
Yeah, and you can only go so much, Scott, on that.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think we as guys who watch the game, you don't see how they're actually feeling day to day, so maybe that's come into the factor why he's stepped away from the Scotland scene. You don't know how he's...
There's the final whistle here, and it's 2 wins out of 2 for the defending champions. Easter Road's been a problematic place for them in the past. It was a problematic position for Brendan Rodgers to be in the away dugout here. And that's 2 wins out of 2 in Leith for him, having gone 4 without one in his 2 spells as Celtic manager, including a goalless draw here in the corresponding fixture last season. But Nicholas Kuhn put them in front inside 3 minutes, with Callum McGregor adding a spectacular second on 19. They could have had more in that first half. They had opportunities to do so. Hibs hit the bar in the second through Kieran Bowie, but they didn't actually register a shot on target in the full-time statistics. So they struggled to live with Celtic in the first half. Better from Hibernian in the second. More winnable games to come for them, albeit their next one is against Celtic in Glasgow in the second round of the League Cup, when these two go head-to-head again a week today. 2 defeats out of 2 then for Hibs, who lost their first 3 last season in the Premiership. Celtic, it's the perfect start. No goals conceded, 6 points on the board. Hibernian 0, Celtic 2.
On digital